Copacabana Beach is one of the most challenging venues you can plan for a concert.
You have sea on one side, high buildings on the other, sand underfoot, free concert, millions of fans.
You could be up to a mile away from the stage.
I've been the Director of Security for Oasis, Led Zeppelin, Stereophonics, Eminem.
I've worked on Wembley Stadium and Arsenal's Emirates Stadium.
With Copacabana, it's a different beast.
This is not typical of concerts at all. Like this. Yeah, you can't be standing there.
The key issues with hosting any event on sand is the topography and the underfoot conditions. If we look at the fingers here now, consider these as legs and feet. We haven't got a solid surface, so the feet will actually come in and then suddenly we're walking like this. So this causes an issue, not when people are arriving, but certainly when they're leaving and or in an emergency condition. So the ideal solution would be a solid surface underfoot conditions. I'll show you here. Okay. Now this would be the ideal scenario. That being said, obviously the public access to the beach is a requirement, and there's also the resources. There would not be enough floor covering in most countries for this type of event, so you'd have to ship it in from worldwide, and then it would have to ensure that it would fit to the existing floor covering.
So the queue system we generally use is what we call a S-shaped queue. It's something like this. So this would be the ideal scenario, but when you're looking at the numbers at Copacabana with up to 1 million, 2 million people, there just simply isn't the space or the time to lay things out like this, and there just wouldn't be even the amount of barriers available to do it. So in the scenario here, Copacabana Beach, if we could organise it, it's very structured. If we had the water here, and we have the stage at the front end here, what we'd be looking to do is to have multiple routes in with the crowd equally distributed along each of these. And each of these would have a queue system feeding it that would let everybody in at the same rate.
So when doors open, everyone is going to want to make a dash straight for the centre of the stage. So one of the mitigation measures we put in place is we space out security staff to slow the crowd down, to get them walking, because we don't want to have any trips, slips or injuries on the way in. So what we're going to draw now is a system with a secondary barrier, and this would be for a volatile crowd. And what this barrier does, it's a safe working area for the security staff, which are positioned within the barrier, and the medical teams. And there's a corridor for those that are extracted over the barrier in distress to safely walk out and not over-occupy this area. So the next design is where we have what's referred to as a T-barrier. We know that this area here is going to be dense, so the crowd are going to compress forward, and what this system does, it reduces this lateral movement from side to side and holds the crowd.
So Copacabana Beach as a venue stretches all the way along the coastline in Rio for up to 2 miles. We've got the stage at the front here, and then each set of these screens is serving a separate section of the crowd. And as you can see there, they do overlap slightly because you'll be able to see some of the screen from the previous section. But each section is just splitting that beach up into manageable sections like that.
We're trying to avoid crowd crush, progressive crowd collapse, or anything that can cause harm or death for crowds. With Astroworld, we know publicly that one of the stages was over on this side, over here. So we know that the vast amount of the crowd are going to be entering from this location, heading towards here and in here. There will also be crowd that will come round this direction, and we also know that there was a carnival in this area here. They came in from stage right predominantly, and this area was overwhelmed. So the difference between the Astroworld setup and Copacabana setup, there's no barrier down the central spine of the crowd, so they can migrate if they want to. And I think the key difference with Copacabana, there'll be a large proportion of that crowd that can see the screens, can see the stage, but there's also this collective behaviour that people just want to be there. So some people will hear it and not see it, and they'll be satisfied with that. They're quite happy being further out. So this here is a made-up set list with fabricated names of no actual songs themselves. This is all about crowd safety for us. And what we would do there, we would highlight the energetic songs. Is the artist going to be going down into the barrier, or any movement the artist is going to do in a particular song? If there's pyro going to be scheduled for a song, we need to know that because we can anticipate the crowd to surge forward.
Normally when we look at a venue, we know the number of people that the venue can hold, so we know the capacity, and therefore we can plan for that number of people. But an event such as this at Copacabana, it's free entry, so you can't predict to any accuracy how many people will turn up. In a free concert like this, these are lower numbers, but what we might model is what happens if 20,000 people turn up, what happens if 30,000 people turn up, what happens if 40,000 people turn up, and also what happens if more people come from the east rather than the west, or vice versa. And we will test different scenarios and different numbers to try and find the worst case. And if the worst case works, then we hope that all the other cases will work too.
This is not just a case of let's plan a concert for next month and put it together. A huge amount of emphasis is placed on safety and crowd management. I just think Rio should be proud of themselves. They pull off the biggest events in the world. Very impressive, and fair play to them.